I have tried every planning and organisational system ever invented, and this is what's good, what's bad, and how I plan. There are different levels of planning seriousness, and level 1 is post-it notes. They're really not serious, but that's kind of why I love them, because when you have something that you need to do while you're doing something else even, you can just blurt down a reminder to yourself of what needs to be done, which makes them so perfect for when you're really stressed and you literally just need to write down on a piece of paper everything that needs to be done. So for me, they're often the first step in my planning system. Before I move my planning into like a notebook, I'll just write down on a post-it note everything that needs to be done. That's what I like about them. What I don't like is when they're more serious and they're, say, like a weekly planner or a time planner in the form of a post-it note, because I'll never carry that around with me, so I'll just make these lists that I end up not using because it's sort of still in post-it note form. Ultimately, if you want to achieve your goals, you can't just jot down on a post-it note what needs to be done. You need to plan in a slightly more serious way, because otherwise your goals never get achieved. Which brings me on to level 2, time planners. Now, in terms of seriousness, these are the real deal. They're a really great way of executing your goals because you literally segment these disorganized to-do lists into little hourly plans. And in theory, if you're stressed, they should help to calm you down because you can see exactly how much time you have. However, I personally found time planners really ineffective because it's really hard to gauge how much time things take, so you end up being overly optimistic. And I don't like the overly regimented structure either, because sometimes what you need to do is study and you start out and you really don't feel like doing chemistry, so you do a bit more biology, and then you're immediately off your time planner, but you're still being productive and working towards your goals. So I found time planners one of my least favourite methods. It also always ended up stressing me out more because instead of having a to-do list, you just have your hours planned out, which always feels quite restrictive to me. So then I looked for a method of planning that would give me a bit more freedom, which brings me to level 3. The week planner. Now, a week planner is nice because your whole week is set out in these little boxes that you can fill in with what you're going to achieve, but in a much less regimented way than in the hourly planner. And I like that you have this more flexibility, this more customizability. It's not a word. But it just didn't really work for me because I don't plan like this. I'm not one of those people who likes to just see their week page by page. However, I would still definitely recommend week planners, especially for certain situations, such as an intensive week of studying, where a week planner is perfect at making sure that you get everything in that you need to. And I do like the combination of sort of it being like a to-do list and it having that bit more structure, but it not being overly regimented like the hourly planner. Another problem, however, that I found was it didn't give you much future foresight because you're literally going week by week, which brings me to level 4, a diary/calendar planner. For a time, my diary was literally how I kept my life together, because being able to just flip through the pages and see your next week, see everything that you need to do, it's such a calming feeling. And if you're stressed, you can always just add the things that you need to do into your planner. It's better than post-it notes because your goals have a place. It's better than a week planner because your goals have a place in a bigger framework, so they kind of you slowly build your routine and it all fits together, which I just loved. I didn't really get along with having a calendar because I just never looked at it, having a little kind of diary planner in my bag I found really useful. However, it did become quite hard to remember to use and open having this little single purpose notebook. And because I ended up having a small one, which I think is better than carrying around a massive diary planner like you see, but it would end up with me not having enough space to fill in everything that I wanted to do. And a lot of the time I just ended up not actually achieving the things that I'd written down. However, if you do use a diary planner, my tip would be to have a colour scheme, because it's so calming, and you can then add colours for all the different things that you do. So like sports activities, homework, studying, and then you can just flick through and see when you have everything coming up. Level 5 is a controversial pick, but you need to hear me out. My go-to planning system for 2025 has become my bullet journal. Now, I've gone through so many phases of using journals that has never worked because I've never seen them in the right way. I've always seen them as those cute, like, kind of artsy journals where you have this monthly spread with this art page, like, doodle and this colour scheme, and it became so detrimental, honestly, to think I need to make this beautiful, I need to put so much work into the aesthetic of my journal. So this year I tried going into bullet journaling completely without that mindset, just trying to create an organisational system that worked for me. And it works so well because it combines all the good elements of the other planning systems, because a bullet journal gives you all the freedom that you need. So I have some pages that are literally just to-do lists where I'm stressed and I'll just blurt everything that I need to do onto the page. And then I have like my weekly spreads, my monthly spreads, and that can be dated and undated. And it also allows you to do other things, like have a habit tracker or a mood tracker. It just gives you all that customizability that I really wanted. The only thing is that it does take more time than other planning methods. However, it's not such a big problem as I initially thought it would be, because I've given myself these rules that I need to make my bullet journal not aesthetic. I need to just make it a place for me to plan. Level 6 is Notion. It just kind of completes everything, because even though I probably could have my Notion pages in my bullet journal, I love the fact that Notion just gives me this long overview, and I have these different like blocks that I can customize. And now I don't use Notion that often, but I sort of use it for my like bigger picture even than I have in my bullet journal, because then it doesn't matter that I don't look at it that often. It still like serves its purpose in an easier way than using my bullet journal. So for example, I have all my New Year's resolutions on a Notion page, and it means that it's something that I can go back to without the need to carry it around in my journal, and then if I get a new journal, I could change the page. It sort of keeps these goals at the front of my mind. And Notion is really cute, and it's easy to manage, and it's so much less time consuming than other methods. However, when I've tried to use it for more daily planning, like keeping a to-do list, I found that it's just never something that I've updated, because I much prefer physical planning. However, I know that works for some people, especially if you use your phone or your computer a bit more, and then the first thing that you look at is your Notion page, which just has everything. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Have an awesome day.